On tonight's episode of the Mike Pressler Show, we break down their loss against Colgate in the season opener. We have a talk with Associate Head Coach Brad Ross, and we take a look at the home opener against St. Joseph's this weekend at Bulldog Stadium. It's all coming up next on the Mike Pressler Show. And welcome to the Mike Pressler Show. We're here from Blackie's Bulldog Tavern in Smithfield, Rhode Island. I'm Mike Mancuso, joined by head coach of the Bryant Bulldogs, Mike Pressler. And coach, tough game on Saturday, a 10-8 loss in the season opener to nationally ranked Colgate. However, it was also your team's first game and the first road trip. How did that road trip go for you guys?
Well, it was for me and the players in particular, it was the first time ever there. So kind of venturing into the unknown. The trip itself turned out weather-wise much better than we thought. We on Wednesday, I think the high was 17 degrees, and we were going. It's an away game. You go. We got sweats. We got Under Armour, we got Over Armour or whatever. But at the end of the day, it turned out to be about 29 degrees, which is balmy at this time of year,
absolutely.
especially in Hamilton, New York. So everything was great logistic-wise, other than kind of the outcome of the day.
And speaking of the outcome of the game, 10-8 loss. However, there were some positives. You had 5 different guys find the back of the net. They were led by Colin Dunster, had a great game with 4 goals and 1 assist. What can you say about him?
Well, this is something we've seen from Colin all preseason. Colin is a remarkable midfielder, arguably our best athlete. His older brother, Jimmy Dunster, is an All-American midfielder at North Carolina. I've known Colin for a number of years. I recruited Colin, and he's truly developing into we think the marquee Division I midfielder right out of the box we always thought he could be.
And now you got a great game out of Colin, and you also saw great resiliency out of your team. Twice you were down by 3 goals. You battled back to tie it.
Well, that's, they don't call us the Bulldogs for nothing. That, we're going to keep battling back, and, down 3-0 right out of the box on the road. We battled back to 3-3, 5-4 at half, went down 7-4 early in the third. Battled back to 8-8, with 12 minutes to go. So, I told the guys early on, understand this, guys. This is going to be a 1-2 goal game, 1 down the stretch. And it proved to be true. But unfortunately, we just didn't make the plays down the stretch in this early season to win the game.
And another positive we saw was the play out of your netminder, Jamison Love. Came out with 12 saves and 22 shots faced.
Jamison was solid. There were some shots that he saved. Certainly, there was a couple down the stretch I thought he could have saved, and he'll tell you that himself if you asked him. For me, and one of the great positives in the game of our 7 starting defensive players, 5, this was their first start ever, and 2 of those were freshmen, and we held them very well overall against a very talented, Colgate team, especially offensively. So that was a great positive for us. We gave up 10. I thought we could have had a couple of those back, but great start for our young group on defense.
And one thing we talked about last week was maybe a little bit of a question mark would be at the face-off X. However, you saw a great performance out of the freshman Kevin Massa, won 11 out of 21 face-offs for you guys.
That was a remarkable performance for Kevin. So proud of him, so thrilled for us. And actually 4 times in those winning face-off opportunities, he generated offense that we didn't finish. So for Kevin, 10 ground balls in the game, only 1 turnover, just a remarkable performance for Kevin in his first Division I game against a top 20 team on the road.
Yeah, incredible, 11 of 21. Now, we've talked about some of the positives. Now we've got to look at some of the things that maybe could be improved upon a little bit. One of them's got to be about the missed opportunities on offense. You outshot them 40-34 for the game. However, you were only able to put 17 on goal.
I think going into halftime, we're down 5-4, and we had 25 shots in the first half, 4 for 25, and we were right on the doorstep. And you're going to talk to Brad Ross in a minute, our offensive coordinator, and he kind of charts, the shots off the film. And numerous times we're on the doorstep and just didn't put the ball in the goal. And we're down 5-4 at the half. I felt we could have been up easily 7-8-5 at half. And again, credit our guys for creating the opportunities, and we just got to work harder and better at putting those opportunities away.
Yeah, another battle that you guys lost in that contest was the turnover battle. You had 17 to just 14 for them, and you also were 80% on clears, 16 of 20. Now, is that clear number a number you could live with, or is that something that you think should have been better?
You go 80% in a very difficult environment, weather-wise. That was pretty good. I mean, it could be better, yes. I was pleased about that. 17 turnovers. There's turnovers and there's unforced turnovers.
Right.
And I think there was 4 or 5 of those 17, especially down the stretch when the game was being decided, not so much due to their pressure, but just not taking care of the ball. And we'll put the blame on ourselves in that regard.
Now, did Colgate do anything that surprised you guys, or did the game just kind of come down to a matter of execution?
I don't think there was a lot of surprises there. From my point of view, I've never seen them live. I've seen them on tape. But number 15, Peter Baum, they're All-American. He is as good as I've seen it at the college level in the midfield. He had 4 against us, 4 out of 10 shooting. 3 incredible shots on the run from 15 yards that beat Jamison Love. So, looking back on it, hindsight, I thought we could have planned better to take maybe Peter Baum away a little bit. I'll blame myself for that one. But at the end of the day, overall, there was nothing that they showed that I don't think we were necessarily not prepared for.
Right. And now, I know you don't really believe in moral victories. However, there's got to be some positives that you're able to take out of that first game of the season against Colgate.
Yeah, there's no moral victories. I mean, those days are long over with us, but, our level of play, we were really excited to play in this opener. Our pace of play, I thought, was pretty good for the most part. We got after them physically. That's something we strive for here. And again, I go back to the things that we weren't counting on necessarily. Our ability to win face-offs was at the top of the list, a great positive, and our team defense. Both were huge question marks going into the game, and both things that I thought we did very well at times.
So we've talked about maybe things that Colgate didn't really surprise you with. Was there anything that really surprised you about your own team?
No, nothing I don't think glaring. I was impressed with our resiliency, especially for a lot of young guys. That couple young defensemen, Connor Dent in particular, and his first college start, I thought was outstanding. And again, I think offensively, I think we're going to be a very, very good offensive team. We just didn't show, 8 goals on 40 shots. That should have been a 12, 13 goal game for us.
Yeah.
I think that's going to come, and that's going to come in time.
Yeah. And now you've got 1 regular season game under your belts. You've had additional practices this week, or upcoming this week. Are you happy with where your team is right now, or do you think there's a lot more room for improvement right now?
I'm happy, but there's still a lot more room for improvement. We're going to get some injured guys back this week, which is going to be key for us. Guys have been out for a while, so that'll boost the depth in the lineup. And we're excited about our home opener, to come back and play in front of our fans. Bryant University, St. Joe's, Saturday, 1 o'clock. So, there's a lot of positives from Colgate. We're certainly disappointed with the outcome, but at the end of the day we're going to try to correct some of the negatives, accentuate the positives, and just get really excited to play, I think, a good St. Joe's team.
Now, taking into account what you learned about your team from last week's game, what are some of the things you might be focusing on in practice this week?
I think a lot of we work so hard at the details, the little plays that decide the game. The average fan sees the goals, the assists, the ground balls, and all the little nuances to our sport that the players and coaches truly know that the average fan doesn't know. Those plays that don't show up in the box score, we call our winning plays.
Yep.
And there's so many of those little plays that we got to improve on to give us the opportunity to win those 1-2 goal tied games on the road, especially against a top 20 team.
Right. So the home opener is coming up this Saturday, 1 o'clock at Bulldog Stadium. It's against St. Joseph's. We'll be talking about that a little later in the show. Next up, though, we'll have Associate Head Coach Brad Ross coming up here on the Mike Pressler Show on Cox Sports Television.